Yo, what's good, my people? Everything in CSS has got a box around it, and that's facts. And today I'm going to show you how these boxes work, because understanding this thing is key to leveling up your layout game. Now, whether you're trying to align items or build complex layouts, it all starts with a box model. Ever wondered why your layouts keep breaking, or why adding padding suddenly makes your whole design look bad? Trust me, I've been there. 4 years ago, I was stuck trying to center a div. Now I'm building proper websites and apps. And today I'm going to show you the secret sauce. Now, by the end of this video, you'll be confident with CSS layouts, no more random spaces, no more broken designs, just clean, professional vibes. Now let's get into it. All right, first things first. In CSS, we've got two main types of boxes. Now, block and inline. Now, let me break it down for you. Block boxes are like your headline act. It takes the whole stage, controls the whole setup, and everything has to work around them. Now, you can see here, you've got this paragraph here in the HTML, and the second paragraph. And as you can see, it starts in a new line. However, for inline boxes, they're more like your backup dancers. They move with the flow, only take the space they need, and it works alongside others. So as you can see here in the HTML, we've got 3 span elements, and in the browser, it's now put itself side by side. Now, certain elements like the heading, H1, as you can see here, paragraphs and divs are blocked by default. However, your span elements, your anchor tags, strong elements are inline. So if you know your elements, it makes it a lot easier. All right, listen fam, before we dive deeper, let me put you on something mad. Boxes have both inner and outer display types. Now check out this flex example. We've got an unordered list with a class of flex list with 3 list items here. You can see it here in the browser. And if I show you the CSS for it, we've got this flex list, it's got a display effect flex. You see the list style of none, padding 0, and we've got this border with the purple, as you can see here. And with the list item of flex list, we can see we've got a border of 2 pixel solid blue. Every CSS box has 2 display types. Outer, so how it behaves in the layout, and inner, how its children are arranged. So with display flex, our list remains block on the outside. So that's where we can see it. The purple goes all the way to the end. It's behaving like a block layout. However, it arranges children as flex items on the inside. All right, now let's check these different display types, examples of different display types. So we first got, let me actually make it wrap so you can see all of it. So we first got this block demo. So it's display of block. It takes up its own line like it owns the place. It goes full width all the way to the end. Now the next one we've got is an inline. So we've got normal text, and then we've got this span element, which is inline. So it just carries on. Now we've also got an inline block, which is a bit of both worlds. It kind of knows when to flex. So as you can see here, oops, we can see that it's going side by side with each other. And we can see that it's here in the HTML. Now we've also got display flex, which organizes its children in a flex formation. And we could change the layout of this with different stuff like flex direction and stuff that we'll get into in a later video. But we can see here, the 3 children is put in line. Now we could also, instead of a row, we could have it as a column, but we'll get to that in a later video. And then we've got display grid, which for here, it's got a 2x2 grid. So you can customize what the grid layout would be. And then lastly, we've got display none, which essentially is the ghost mode. It's like the element was never there. Now the display value you choose changes everything about how your elements move. All right, now every box in CSS has got 4 parts. Now you got the content, the actual thing, whatever if it's the text, the image, whatever the actual content is. Now we've got padding. Now that's the space between your content and the border. We've got the border itself, which is the edge of the box. And then we've got the margin, which is the space between the box and other elements. Now let's have a look at this example here. So In the standard box model, when you set a width of 350 pixels, that's just the content width. Then the padding and border gets added on top. So if we look at the CSS, let's go to, where is it? Yeah, just here. So we can see here, we actually put the width of 350, but then it adds the padding. So if we wrap, let me just show you this. So it's 350 width plus 50 pixels for the padding, because the padding is put on all sides, and then 10 for the border as well. So let's say the 25 padding gets added to the left and the right, which pushes the width even more, and then even the border, then it adds a bit more. So it's 350 plus 50 plus 10. Now the alternative box model is a smart way to handle boxes. And I can show you here. Now with setting box sizing to border box, your width includes everything: content, padding, and the border. So no more maths. So we can see here that we set the width to 350. The total width is exactly 350. It makes it a lot easier using the border box. Now let's switch between these models real quick. So let's see. So as you can see here, it's playing with box models section. Now we've got the standard way, and I'll say the better way to do it. So we can see here in now we can see here the box sizing of content box and box sizing of border box. Now what I would suggest is, before you even start your project, you could just put, let's say, HTML box sizing, border box. So for the whole document, it just sets the border box box sizing. And then you could even do, so that's for the HTML, and actually it's giving me a suggestion here. So we could do it just like that. So I'd say it's best when starting a new project, if you want to make it consistent and no surprises and no changes of widths, is to add these two to the beginning of your CSS project. And to be fair, there is other sort of CSS resets that you could do that makes it a bit easier and more predictable with coding with CSS. All right, so margins are your box's personal space. So we can see here, we've got two boxes here. It says I've got a bottom margin of 50 pixels, here's in the HTML, and I've got a top margin of 30 pixels, but together we only make 50 pixels. Now, if I show you the CSS for it, see the first box, margin bottom of 50, and this one's got a margin top of 30. However, the space between here is only 50 pixels. So when two margins touch, they collapse and the bigger one wins. Now, if we go to borders, now border just surrounds the content. So it's kind of in the name, the border. Now, there is a quick way to write it, which is just like here. It's the shorthand. So if I show you in the CSS, you see it's 2 pixels width. The border style is solid and the border color is gold. And you can see in here with a specific example just below it, you can kind of basically spell it out or control each specific part. So the width, the style, and the color. So 2 pixels, border style line, and gold. Now, also, if you want to just add a color to one border, so we've got the border bottom here, 5 pixels, solid red. Now, if you wanted to style the right border, the left, the top, you could easily do that as well. So, yeah. Now, padding is your inner space. So similar to what we've just seen, there is the shorthand, which if you put padding equals 20 pixels, it'll add that padding of 20 pixels to all top, right, bottom, and left sides of the element. Now you can mix it up, as you can see here, so you can specifically write what spacing you want for each side. So let's say we've got the top of 10 pixels, right of 20 pixels, bottom of 15 pixels, and the left is 25 pixels. So think of it as a clock. It starts from the top, so it goes top, right, bottom, left. if you're going to actually put all the values or you wanted to have specific values. And then in VS Code, you could just hover over it and it kind of gives you a small description, usually of each thing. Now, I say using your browser's dev tools is really important, especially for debugging or seeing, where things are being added. So if we right click, let's say let's actually do it on this actual element, right click, inspect, and this works. I'm using the Arc browser, but you could use Chrome, Firefox, Safari. You could do the same in all modern browsers. So we can see here, and we can click this to select a specific element. It makes it easier to select it. So we can see here, if you have here, it kind of highlights the padding, even shows you, I can't sort of scroll up, but you can see that little tooltip. It's got the background color, the font, and the padding. So it's got padding of 20 pixels all around. Now here, it's got padding, but it's not equal on all sides. You can see the top is less than the bottom. The left is just a bit bigger than the right. It's kind of hard to see, but the left has a 25 pixel and the right is 20. And as we can see here, we've got a padding on the main element. On the H2, there's a margin. So also, well, for Arc and for Chrome, so the padding is shown by that green color and the margin is with the orange color. So you can see here that space is actually the margin, not the padding. And here similar, it's margin. However, within this box is the is padding, and you've got margin top as well. So it's kind of easy, no more guessing. And also I would suggest that if you were to, you can click on a specific element and you can go click on computed and you can specifically see each part. So the padding here, you see the content is right here, padding, border, and margin. So it'll probably be best to show it on here actually, because you can specifically see that it's got a padding 10 on top, 20 on the right, 15 and 25, and that's the shorthand: 10, 20, 15, 25. So this makes it really easy to be able to see what's adding the spacing, if it's the padding, if it's the margin, or even it could be a border as well, and how much space the actual content is taking as well. Now remember those inline boxes we talked about, they move different with the box model. So if we go through to the HTML, just so you can see, so this is this section here. Now let me just show you the CSS just so it kind of makes sense. So here we've got the margin of 20 pixels, padding of 20 pixels, and that's for these highlight sort of spans with a class of class of highlight. Now width of 80 pixels, which gets ignored, and the height of 50 pixels, which gets ignored too. And you can see the background color of light blue with the border of a bit of a darker blue. Now, inline elements follow different box model rules. So unlike block elements, inline elements like span ignore the width and height properties completely. They only respect left and right margins, while top and bottom margins just don't work at all. Now, when you apply padding to inline elements, it visually appears but doesn't push the surrounding text away vertically. It actually overlaps with content above and below. So as we can see here, that content is there, but it is being overlapped with this other content. Now, only the horizontal padding and margins push content away from the sides. All right, now this is I'll say a proper real world example, which is navigation links for inline block. Now let's go to the HTML. We can see here we've got nav elements with an unordered list with a class of links list, and it's got 3 link items that's got 3 anchor tags within there. So it says link 1, link 2, and link 3. Now if we look at the CSS for it, we see the links list got a display of flex. However, the links list anchors itself has got a display of inline block. As I said, yeah, this is key. Where it's now inlined, but it is a block element as well. Now you could possibly use something like flex, which kind of automatically puts stuff in a row. However, now this is where display inline block comes in clutch. So it's perfect for nav links like here, where you've got a display of inline block and you've got a padding of 10 pixels top and bottom and 20 pixels left and right within each nav link. And if we can see here from the first one, the nav links didn't actually have a class to it, but here we just got a div with 3 anchor tags and the class of nav link. All right, fam, now let's wrap this up. Now today we've covered block versus inline boxes, the 4 parts of the box model, standard versus the alternative box model, which is, I'll say, the better way to do it, margins, borders, and paddings, display values and how they change box behavior. Now, once you properly understand these box model concepts, your layouts will start making sense. No more random spaces, no more broken designs, just clean layouts. Now, if you missed my previous video on CSS combinators, make sure to check that out. It shows you how to target specific elements with precision, which goes hand in hand with box model skills. Now, next week, we're diving into handling conflicts. That's when you'll learn how to sort out those nasty CSS priority issues and selector battles. If you found this useful, hit that like button and subscribe for more coding content. Keep coding, keep creating, stay blessed. Love.